All right, hello everyone, and welcome to the next blue light hotspot that I'm going to be talking about, which happens to be Mount Everest. And it's like there's a lot of blue coming from that area, so I'm excited to share it with you. For those who I kind of call our intuitive archaeologist, you're going to have a lot to explore this time because there's a lot here that I cannot explain, and there's a lot here that I don't have the foundational knowledge for. So I can only share the intuitive knowledge that is coming through. So, hi, my name is Nancy Rebecca. This is my YouTube channel where I really love to talk about the human energy field and anything that impacts the human energy field. And the biggest thing that's been impacting us in the last few years has been the blue light that has been coming from the galaxy that is rapidly expanding our conscious awakening process. But I have to say, this is the first time in making one of these videos where I feel a little unsettled. I feel a little disturbed. That's the only way I can describe it. So I'm not quite sure why I feel disturbed. So kind of follow along with me and let's start putting some of these intuitive puzzle pieces together. So when I have this map, and I would say if I put the map up on the wall, it would fit this whole back wall of the world. And then I put these little stickers on the place where I'm going to go next, this was spot number 7. And I was trying to determine which country I was going to. Let me look at my notes here. And so I could see that the main country was Nepal, the Kathmandu area, but Nepal was the main country. Bhutan was potential. Patna, India, so it was going into that part of India, the Ganges, Tibetan China, Bangladesh, and there was somewhere else. Brahmaputra, India. So it was really covering a pretty large area. As I'm going through the process and I'm asking the 20 questions to try to determine which country it was, then I was just inspired to get one of those magnifying glasses, and I shined a flashlight through, like high technology, shine the flashlight through. It's really magnifying the area that they want me to see. And then suddenly my eyes are drawn to this little triangle area on the map, and then it says Mount Everest. And then it was like, bingo, that's the area that they wanted me to go to. The reason why it was hard to determine is because the blue light is radiating out. There's this pulsing type movement, motion, vibrational frequency of blue. Again, some areas of light blue, some areas of as dark as a lapis blue. So it's quite similar to what I was picking up in Saudi Arabia, that I couldn't tell beneath the blue where the pinpoint area was. All right, but we have now determined it was Mount Everest. So when I first went to tune in intuitively, I could feel a very strong goddess energy. But I have to tell you, I was a little confused by this goddess energy because it was so powerful, so protective, that I realized that in the limitations of my own mind as a female, that that level of protective, kind of warrior-like female is not something that I'm used to feeling at that level of strength. All right, so strong female, very balanced between the male and the female energy. I also wrote in my notes, sacred protector. I wrote goddess. And then when I said Mount Rainier, because this goddess energy, I said Mount Rainier. So I live in the Pacific Northwest, and Mount Rainier is one of our tallest mountains here. It's almost 14,000 feet high. So I might say that a few times. It's a beautiful, beautiful mountain. I encourage you to look it up. She's a beauty. But Mount Everest is probably even more than twice as tall as Mount Rainier. So it's almost 30,000 feet high. All right. So when I saw this goddess energy, I was looking at the Himalayan mountain range, and I'm using my clairvoyant vision, but from a multi-dimensional level, like I can see several dimensions. So I could see the physical dimension image of the Himalayas and Mount Everest, But this goddess energy was almost like the 30,000 feet high went about to her waist, and then she was much taller than that. She has outstretched arms, kind of reminded me of the Statue of Liberty that we have outside of New York. Outstretched arms, and then I just could see all these swirling blue light sparkles all around. Now, they weren't small like what I'm used to seeing as those plasmic photonic lights. These were large. If I was there, they would be very, very large blue lights. And so the other thing was, I don't know if I said this, but when I said Mount Everest, I heard in a male voice. So this is what threw me off a little bit. I heard in a deep, very strong, no nonsense way, "Do not call me that." And I was like, okay, so clearly that mountain does not want to be called Mount Everest. I don't know what the other names are for Mount Everest. I will tell you that I went to go look up the kind of the indigenous culture of the area to see what they call it. I will tell you that I came up with maybe 3 different names. So I would imagine if you're looking from the area of Tibet, it's one name. If you're looking from Nepal, it's another name. If you're in Bhutan or India, it might be another name. So for my our little intuitive archaeologist out there, you can find some of the names and the meanings, that would be great if you can post it in the comment section. But this is the part that happened that caused me to put my pencil down and stop writing, and that's when the information that came through was UFO landing, underground access. And so what was explained to me was those blue lights that I was seeing are that Mount Everest is an enormous portal, that it's highly, it's almost like the goddess's hands could touch the stars and her feet were deep, buried deep in Gaia, almost like Gaia, Mother Earth, was her legs, and that the upper part of her body was the stars. So it's quite an enormous energy. I was also shown that this energy of blue didn't just start with the blue light movement. This energy of blue, the frequency of blue, has always been there even long before humanity existed. It was impressive. It's impressive. So what I was shown was this bold blue pulsing. And it has a sound with it. So, and I was aware that it almost sounded like Om, like the sound of Om is kind of what it sounded like, but it was like Om, 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 Om. So it's that type of pace. It's not slower than that. It's not faster than that. That's about the pace of it. And it's got this frequency that goes right through the heart. So I don't know if any of you can feel that as I'm talking about it, but it seems to, I'm hearing the words kind of reset your frequency. It goes through your entire body, your entire frequency. I've already talked about how tall the blue female being was. I talked about the blue stars that were moving around. They looked like blue fireflies, but if we really think about it, it's some type of probably unidentified flying object of some sort. Because then I wrote fast flyers. That's what I wrote. I got fast flyers. And then this is where it started to get a little unsettling. So if I'm facing Mount Everest and the Himalayan range from my side of the world, so which is a little bit more southern, and then if we were to go on the other side, I think Tibet and China would be on the back side. So if I'm facing it, the whole left side of Mount Everest looks black. And there's a big tear in the fabric and the energy. I could feel a lot of death energy around there. Dark, cloudy, a rip-torn area. And then I heard this energy again say, stop. Just stop. So And then I was shown that it was like a deep portal. So it's like this portal can go all the way up to the stars, and this portal can go all the way down into the earth. I felt the energy of otherworldly, almost as if I could feel, or we can sense maybe, that it's the underworld, and then it's the middle world, and then it's the upper world. But I have to tell you, if the underworld is where the mystical, magical beings exist, and the upper world is where the ascended masters exist, and the middle world is what I would call our 3D world, the human world, it's almost like it just went from the underworld to the upper world. It's almost as if humans are probably not supposed to be there. Okay? I'm just telling you based on that deeper sense that I have. So I would love your input about that. Then I heard the words, it is the place, the landing place of gods and goddesses. So, landing place of gods and goddesses. And then I was shown these underground tracks. They were blue. They were way below I said Mount Rainier again, way below Mount Everest. And it was like an upside down tree that would have these branches that goes off all the way down, and they're blue, so they're almost like these tracks where I see these blue lights come in and then they travel along, and they can go to different places in the earth, in our world. All right. Again, every time I say Mount Rainier, I hear not that name. That's not my name. So then I felt a lot of death, and it felt almost like it was haunted. And so my question was that, I'm aware that there's been deaths. I don't know how many deaths on the mountain, but there have been deaths of climbers. And so my question was, is it haunted? Is it haunted because there's so many deaths? What's going on there? And then I am told that there are a lot of nature spirits there, and there are a lot of angry nature spirits there. So, and then they said that the climbers they can get disoriented. They can definitely lose where they're going. They can have items that were just in the upper left side of their bag one minute, and then it's gone the next minute. So these nature spirits really mess with their planning, mess with the weather, mess with their items, life-saving items that they might need, or pictures or jewelry or anything that they're carrying with them. Like, there's a lot of things that get mixed up. So they were talking about these nature spirits that can be not just angry, but they can be, I don't know that I would describe, mischievous. That would be a good word, because they're not playful, it's mischievous. That they have fun by messing with others. All right. Then it was like a lot of strange otherworldly sounds. So remember I said I put down my paper and my pen, and I dropped in pretty deep to kind of feel into this. And I felt a lot about this kind of earthly underworld beings. And so there was the goddess, but then it was like I saw this very large being, and it's kind of black, and it has big teeth, and it's almost like I could draw it out. And so I stopped and I went to look it up, and I just said, the Tibetan or Hindu, whatever this being is, this black being, and it definitely came out to be Yamantaka. So that's spelled Yamantaka. So Yamantaka, if I were to put it in a nutshell from what I understand, is battles evil, or takes on the evil in the world, or transmutes the evil in the world. And so not only is there a lot of light that seems to come through this mountain range, but that any kind of evil that's kind of drawn to that area is transmuted and turned over. But this is the other thing that happened is tons of dragons, like a lot of dragons, a lot. So let's say what's a lot of dragons? We'll say 20,000 dragons. And they seem to move along this mountain range quite a bit. They also seem to move with the blue light that I saw, what I call those fireflies. So, what is the purpose of all this? Well, I'm going to just share with you. It is incredibly, extremely active. There is a sense that it is such a sacred, holy place that it shouldn't have humans around. Like humans shouldn't go there. We've got a similar thing here in the Pacific Northwest with Mount Rainier, that there was this ancient, through the stories, that that's where God lived. God lived at Mount Rainier, which was, its original name is Tahoma, Mount Tahoma, and that no one was supposed to go into God's house or the Creator's house. Well, there's a similar feeling about this, like no one should be here. And so, yeah, it's active. It's extremely active. And it's extremely active, like I was noticing in the Arctic Circle as well. It's extremely active there. So how does this impact the human energy field? Well, when I asked the Syrian star people, why is it that they're pointing this place out as highly significant? They are seeming to give this sensation or hint that all the beings for Lemuria or Atlantis, they said there are other advanced cultures that existed on the earth as well. Many of the prophets that we have known have come through this area, that very high level wise beings of knowledge, very specifically high levels of knowledge that come to the earth to share with the earth. So they kind of move in and out of that portal. So it's quite sacred. Again, they're saying it's like the underworld and the upper world, but the middle world isn't there. And so it can be a really rough place for any humans that try to live in that area. They also talked about that connection, because it's a portal. It does have access to the galactic center that is filled with knowledge and information, and that they are preparing for bigger surges of spiritual knowledge, of awakening, that we will be ready for when our consciousness awakens, if I can put it that way. So they're really preparing for a lot of high level knowledge to come through. It does look like there may become a time. I know that there's a lot of climbers that go there, and I know that, in the country of Nepal, there are already starting to set some ground rules and boundaries, but it brings a lot of money into the country. But it does look like eventually, over time, maybe not in our lifetime, that they will make that like a national park. It's going to be a sacred area, and no one will be allowed to go into that area. So it seems like the nature spirits are reclaiming that area. I was asking about the individuals who have died, and the words that came to me through the female goddess voice, the protector voice, was to everyone that's thinking about this in the world, to include their loved ones, that they were beautifully tended to, that they were tended to even days before their spirit was ready to cross over, because the beings would know that they weren't going to make it, and that they were beautifully tended to, and that there was a lot surrounding their soul, their spirit, as they were leaving their body. So even though it may have felt like they were experiencing a tragic death, the blue beings of light and this goddess, protector goddess, just wants everyone to know that they were well tended to, is the way that the words are coming in. So that That's a really cool place. So what am I curious about from those who like going down the rabbit holes with me? I'm really curious if anybody can do a deep dive and maybe find out the original name and what that name means. I would love to read more about it. So, all right, everyone, we've made our little trip up to the Himalayas, to that very sacred, sacred, sacred place of this powerful protector goddess, powerful protector Yamantaka, the blue light beings, the underworld, the upper world, to include loads of dragons. All right, everyone, take care. Thanks for tuning in, and I will love reading your own perspectives. All right, take care. Bye-bye.